For 30 years, we've had traceability without sharing it in the leather industry.
Good evening, everyone. Today we have Skanhei, then Spore, Michael, and Birgitte. They are running a very interesting project in terms of leather traceability. They are tracing from cow to finished product.
This is the first time we are finding something like this. But we want to know more about this. What's this about?
Skanhei is actually owned by farmers, and that's maybe also where it makes ourselves a little bit unique. So we are basically owned by the Danish Crown Group, which is a cooperative in Denmark. We operate from a little island called Fyn. Somebody we know, it's also the home of Hans Christian Andersen. Skanhei is part of Danish Crown Group, 97% Crown owned. It's a cooperative owned by farmers. It's going back 130 years nearly. We process roughly 1.2 million hides a year, and Skanhei itself is doing fresh, salted, and wet white and wet blue tanning. I joined Skanhei nearly 2 years ago, came from the food industry, but traceability in food is something, especially in Europe, it's just licensed to operate. Give the consumer the guarantee of what they're picking up. Especially in the UK, they've been the pioneer of getting more transparency into the food industry.
What is the main business of Skanhei?
It is that we collect hides from 18 plants across Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Germany, and Holland. We process them into salted, wet white, or wet blue, tailor-made into customers. On the top of that, when we collect hides, we do that based on our own system where every hide is going to have a Skanhei label before it turns up at our premises. Otherwise, we cannot scan it in. That's the first step of having full control of the process, is that we will send to all the abattoirs.
Like you scan, you make an engrave or a tattoo to the leather, something like this.
Together with each abattoir, we work on making sure that the ear tag and our tracking system is being controlled at the abattoir. When it then comes to Skanhei, then we scan in the label that they put on, and we then laser tag the hide, which then gives us this uniqueness that we can then trace after wet blue in finished leather as well. And the uniqueness with Skanhei is that as we're a cooperative, we have been working with code of conduct, being able to go back in the value chain. It's been part of our DNA for many years, or we're in control of all the data from when it arrives to the abattoirs.
You guys collect the leather from abattoir, and you are a tannery, basically, or you process the leather, and so then you resell the leather to traders or to other tannery that produce finished product. What you are different from everyone, that you tattoo the leather with all the specific information where the leather comes from. The tannery out of Italy, for example, that buy your raw hides knows where the skin, particularly one skin from which abattoir, which region, which farm is coming from. And how does Spore related to this?
Spore was created last year, and it was the result of actually creating and developing this unique laser tagging system. The fashion and lifestyle industry, they have so many great stories, but this story is based on data where we can prove the track record from the hide and the unique number on the hide back to the ear tag on the individual cattle. And that means that we know everything, the full story from the cow to the leather, which enables us to provide the data to brands so they can actually tell their customers and the end consumers the full story of how this product has been created through the value chain. Spore is a separate business unit and a brand under the wings of Skanhei.
Skanhei means Scandinavian hides, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Not scanning.
No. Unfortunately, Skanhei is the tannery. It's the one that collects the hide. It's the one that has the data. And Spore is the brand and the business unit that goes out and promote this.
Do you think your process and your idea can be scalable around the world?
I think our advantage is that for many, many years, we've done this on an IT platform. That means it's not manual. That's the disadvantage you got, especially in South America, is that it's such a huge country. They got massive feedlots. They can lose the air tags. There are so many things that can happen that the process of controlling it is just on a different scale to what we do. And the same in the US, I'm pretty sure that people can do it. It's just a matter of believing it, that this is the way forward. And that is what we do. And we want to encourage others to do it because we sincerely believe that the more facts we share with consumers, the more trust we get into the leather business.
Why now becomes so important traceability? Why do we need traceability right now?
If we start in the helicopter and we fly up and look down, I think we all acknowledge the fact that climate is on the agenda globally. We have a common responsibility to create the impact in whatever we do privately or what we work with. And I believe that sustainability goes hand in hand with transparency. The new generation coming up, they will not accept great stories. They want data behind.
Are the brand ready to transfer this traceability to the finished product?
We just launched the first collection with a brand called Rockamore, and we can only base our arguments on the way that the customers have received their collection and the initiative and the whole idea of having the traceable track from cow to shoe. And it has been a really positive reactions that they have received from their customers.
Michael, how your customer tanneries and traders into this traceability?
It's a slow burn of getting people on board. More niche brands, the larger brands are more reluctant to go into a program like this. And is it because they're not ready? They're just such a big scale that when they say go for this, there are a lot of other things that they need to take into consideration. That has been my challenge as well, is also to tanners around. Come on, this is actually the future. Goes 2 steps above for where we've been today, and it position our industry, which has always been, a lot of people have been pointing finger at us because we were polluting, we were not taking care of the environment, too much water usage, you had child labor in certain countries. But here you actually have a compelling thing where you actually are completely transparent with facts behind it. Or we talked about it 2 years ago at Lindipedel, and I remember a lot of people were looking at me thinking, what are we talking about?
You know, Michael, when we started Sustainable Talks with NNN, everybody was laughing at us in the same way.
But it's a new way of working, and over time it'll come. We start small, we're humble. It's been wonderful to have one like Rockamore and Frederikke, who has been really passionate about this is what the industry needs. So who is the next we're going to onboard with? I'm just excited to see what the next 3-6 months brings.
It's really about changing the mindset, because sustainability is not a destination. It's a new way of collaborating. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of finding solutions together through the value chain. So transparency really also opens up for that.
What is sustainability for you guys?
We really believe that sustainability is something we should do every day and increase the level of how we do things. It's a new way of thinking. It's a new way of collaborating throughout the value chain. And maybe one day we will be a natural part of not only Rockamore, but a lot of other brands.
So how much do you think is important, the certification, and how much is important the supplier to give this information?
I think it's very important. We are part of the leather working group. We got gold certification on that. But for us, that wasn't enough. We are now launching with Oekotex a certification line about traceable leather and the standards for that. It'll be for Skanhei Oekotex, just to set standards. It's a new way of collaborating in the value chain. We decided to bring in some new skills, and that was retail skills. And of course, it gives new energy, it gives a new way of working. And one of the things Birgitte was very keen on to start with, that we need to have another certification system than just LWG. Let's go and talk to Oekotex. They were really on it and loved the idea and were looking for facts. How could they use it? They have their own leather certification as well, but not back to birth. They've never seen it before.
All comes down to the definition, because yes, a lot of people in the leather industry and the textile industry are talking about traceability and transparency. But what is the definition? The laser tag that we are now able to provide together with our products, that is the only guarantee where you can make sure there is a direct relation between the number and the ear tag on the cattle, and in between all the data that we know about the individual animal.
For 30 years, we've had traceability without sharing it in the leather industry. We actually got it here. If you can see, it's a tag. Yeah. Now we also use it as business cards. As long as the ear tag and the way the system works in the countries we operate in, then you got to control.
In the market, there is a lot of talks about blockchain. How do you manage your data to be sure that those data are 100% transparent?
We run on an ERP system and an operating system that is linked to each other. All the slaughter data is being transferred overnight as the hides come to Skanhei. At the same time, a file will go with all the data from today's slaughtering, which is what we then pair when we start to scan in each hide at Skanhei.
When you have a calf who's born, it is registered in the CHR register. It gets its own number, and here you can follow the ownerships if they're changing hands and farms. You can also see in the register the animal welfare system that we have in Denmark. We have a 3-hearted animal welfare system that is also dedicated in the CHR system, which it's a public register. So if you meet a cow on your way, on your bike, and you see the number, you can actually look it up in the CHR register. So we connect everything from the slaughter part together with the CHR register, and then combined, we have the full story.
Wow, that's great. This is the question actually I wanted to do since the beginning. How you trace the cow moving around. It's very challenging to do in a bigger system, and now when you have millions and millions of hives.
Another part that is also very interesting is, of course, all the things that a farmer has to report regularly. And that leads us to the LCA calculations that mid this year, we actually are able to calculate on farm level the carbon footprint.
Scandinavia is a happy country.
There's still some work ahead.
We're collaborating with the Danish organization called Lifestyle and Design Cluster, and they have paired us with Copenhagen Business School, where we're working on a blockchain project right now in order to see how you can actually demonstrate transparency through blockchain. Through blockchain, you're actually able to visualize the invisible part of the value chain to the end consumers. And this is what is triggering me. And then the customers are also more willing to pay extra.
Yeah, it's an added value. What you see as the limit and the next challenge you want to take with you now?
The next challenge we're going to take on is just to get this up flying and get it to something that we talk naturally about. Certain brands will say, this is not for us. They only want a certain amount of traceability. And then you got the other part of it that really wants to go to full scale. We also have to accept that consumers are different, what they're willing to spend.
Are the customer willing to pay more for a traceable product?
There is definitely more and more customers that are curious. They want to know more about what they're buying. And yeah, they are willing to spend more, definitely on traceability. We've done some questions in Denmark just on furniture, and some consumers were willing to pay €1,000 more for a classic Danish furniture.
It's like organic food.
And again, with traceability, we also support the farmers. We are making sure that the agriculture business is surviving.
Compare with other things, for instance, responsible down, responsible wool. Here, the customers are willing to pay more when they can see the full transparency of the raw materials. We also hope and believe that we are able, through transparency, to make people really appreciate the raw material leather even more when they understand the connection from nature and a responsible way of processing it to final product.
Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Are you based out of Italy or?
I'm in New York City, and Jesus.
8 seconds. That's how long it takes to revolutionize traceability in the leather industry. A unique number laser printed into the hide forever. The number reveals everything: which farm the cow comes from, where it was born, where it grew up. However, the number also tells about our animal welfare. When seeing cows grazing in the meadow, very few people think of quality design, but Scandinavian hides are in fact among the best in the global market, exactly because of our animal welfare, climate and sustainability approach to farming. The number is a new technology. Other things remain unchanged. The craftsmanship, the passion, the dedication. Human hands have touched every single hide at Skanhei. We assess the hide by sensing, stretching and feeling the material. Only this way can we guarantee our customers the best pieces of leather. Last but not least, the number tells something about the future. The hides we tan today may still be found on designer shoes, car seats or furniture classics for decades or maybe even generations from now on. Because as opposed to other materials, leather lasts for a long time. By then, we will still be able to identify the cow whose hide was used for a specific product. Each hide tells a unique story. At Skanhei, we tell every single one of them.